South Florida is ground zero for the Zika virus here in the United States. It's spreading in a 20-block area of Miami Beach and another section of Miami known as Wynwood. The CDC has issued a warning to pregnant women to avoid both areas and for people to be more generally aware of the risks. At the front line of this battle is Miami Beach Mayor Philip Levine. Mr. Mayor, good to see you. Now, you've been appealing to Congress to provide more funding to fight Zika. Any updates from them?
Well, we just had a meeting with the governor. The governor is going to Washington. I plan to go to Washington. And of course, we would just like the Congress to step up their game and rise to the occasion and really move forward on a nonpartisan bill to fund the Zika issue, in other words, for preventative, to help communities, municipalities, but at the same time, move forward with this bill to help to stimulate a vaccine against Zika. And I think that's key. I've said it before, mosquitoes, they're not Republican and they're not Democrat, okay? They're going to bite everybody. And we need to unify and come together. And I hope that the Congress will do this, but do it in a way that the bill is pure, that it doesn't have all these crazy earmarks and people trying to attach things that have nothing to do with Zika.
Okay, so that's there in Washington. Locally, real estate and hotel stays, they don't seem to be very affected, but a lot of businesses there, especially restaurants and bars, they're reporting that they're seeing a 50 and even 60% drop in activity there. People are complaining the news coverage about the outbreak as well as spraying insecticides in the neighborhood is keeping visitors away. It has to be sort of a balancing act to keep both these visitors and tourists and business owners happy. How are you balancing that?
Well, clearly it is a balancing act, but the most important thing and the priority number one for our administration and for Miami Beach is the health and well-being of our residents and tourists. That's number one. And of course, business is very, very important. But to get more specific, we have two areas where there's an advisory. In the city of Miami, a small section in Wynwood, and in the city of Miami Beach, it's a very small 20-block section. And of course, the advisory is only for pregnant women that they have non-essential travel in that little area. Now, we have no confirmation that there's any spreading. We're working with the state, the county, and they're fumigating very specifically on Miami Beach, not doing it aerial-wise. They're doing it, on the ground. Number two, we're also absorbing all the water, any water that's around. We're working together with code enforcement to make sure, because standing water is where mosquitoes breed. We're educating our residents, we're educating our tourists to cover up in this one area, to wear mosquito repellent. But I think, listen, we're doing everything we can. And of course, what we need now is Washington to back us up.
You mentioned educating the public. I know that Planned Parenthood is distributing Zika prevention kits around the area. And another tool is these genetically modified mosquitoes. Would you consider GM mosquitoes in your city?
Well, I think that is something for our health department, for our state government, and our county to look at. As a municipality, I'm not sure that we have the authority to go forward with something like that. I'm very open to it, but I would take recommendation from the state and also the CDC and the federal government before we just, go into doing something like that on our own.
Speaking of the state, you recently expressed a lot of frustration over the lack of communication from the governor, saying he kept you and lawmakers in the dark on Zika cases in your city. Would knowing the information beforehand have changed anything had he had told you prior to his meeting?
Well, I think it's very important we get timely and accurate information. And, no one wants to play politics with something so serious. You can't play politics with people's lives. I think the governor got that message loud and clear. I think he had made a mistake. And I take him for his word going forward that he'll be giving us information timely. Because, listen, our residents want to know. Our tourists want to know. Our local government officials need to know. There's many things that we need to put in place. And obviously, we can't get that information generally during a major press conference because that's not necessarily the most effective way to manage the situation. The governor has come to Miami Beach. The governor is doing everything I believe right now, and I believe that we'll all work together. This is, as I said, this is a community time to come together, and that's what I think we're doing at this point. I spoke to the governor about two things. Number one, coming forward with a marketing plan sponsored by the government to assist businesses in Miami-Dade County. And then number two, as we all know, we have a big election coming in November. I think that maybe extending some of the early voting so that we don't have lines and people are not exposed to any mosquito bites, and their way they're going to vote. And that I think is very important.
And that's a good point that I don't think a lot of people even thought about. A new report from the Florida Bulldog found that the governor's wife, Ann Scott, holds a multi-million-dollar stake in a mosquito spraying company. Governor Scott recently opened mosquito control services to private companies, raising questions about potential conflicts of interest. Now, it's unclear if there is any ethical violation at this time, but if that is the case, would you hold Scott accountable for that?
Well, you know what? I got to tell you, being in public office, Governor Scott is a business entrepreneur who ran for governor. I'm a business entrepreneur, became mayor. I don't know anything about those allegations. I don't know if they're true. They're not true. I would have to believe that, his administration, I believe the Attorney General of Florida, if they feel there's something for them to look at, they will. But at this point in time, to me, that's nothing but, on the rumor mill. So I have no reason to believe that it's true or not true in any way.
So what's the next move for you, Mayor? I know you're focused on your city. You've got a lot on your plate, but you've said in the past you haven't ruled out running for governor yourself in 2018.
Well, you know what? At this point right now, it's so important that we manage the Zika, and that's really what I'm focused on, being mayor. We've managed on making our city more resilient with sea level rise. The fact that we put in all these pumps has made our city drier, and as you can imagine, during a crisis like this where mosquitoes breed in water, I think that, thank God, we've taken some of these sea level rise actions that have helped us. And you know what? It's interesting. When you come from a business background, building companies, and then you're in elective office, you have many options going forward. When you're a career politician, all you want to do is keep running for office. For me, I got a lot of options. Next year, we'll see how it looks in the state of Florida. I love the state of Florida, but I also love business. I love the cruise ship industry. And at this point right now, I'm just focused on being the best mayor of Miami Beach as I possibly can.
Mayor Philip Levine, thanks for taking the time to speak with us tonight. Best of luck to you and your city in the fight against Zika.
Thank you so much.